Hello, this is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com, and today we're going to speak about the Recover Tactical Picks. So a little while ago, I made a video on this guy. If you follow the channel, you might remember this guy as the Recover Tactical 2020 brace. Now, what this is it's without question the coolest, one of the coolest things that I have in the collection, where it pretty much converts your standard Glock into pretty much a carbine. Now, this is going to be in the brace configuration. They do, I believe, have one in more of a stock configuration. But what this is a very compact system that's able to be put into a backpack. You just pull it out. You now have an optic, a flashlight, spare magazine at the bottom, and it really runs nicely. It was very nice to shoot, and it worked overall very cool. Now, what this is a very minimalistic setup to be able to have a pistol caliber carbine, and I really do enjoy this. If you live in a state where this is legal and you're able to have a brace configuration and a folding stock, then this is something you could easily use for like a home defense scenario. Very light recoil, and it gives you a better optic to be able to use, and overall a very cool system. So another option of what this company offers is also more of a actual rifle style platform of actually turning your pistol more into what a rifle would be considered. With the fact that it's more considered to be more of a kind of a rifle style, it gives you also a lot of options in regards to different ways you're able to modify it. So this grip, to my understanding, is a standard AR-15 grip, so you could choose the grip of your choosing. The stock choice is going to be up to you. You could also choose to put a brace on it as opposed to a stock. The buffer tube choice as well is able to be done. I believe like Strike Industries and different brands do offer like a folding brace mechanism for like piston-driven guns, which this would fall into the category of because the slide is only reciprocating into the actual frame itself, so you'd be able to using a folding stock on this as well. What's interesting about this setup is that it does really use a lot of common features. So on the left side, where it's most commonly found, you'd have the AR-15 style safety selector, which I believe works on a detent, so it's a little bit of like a nice click when you hear it go into place. It definitely needs time to be able to wear in properly, so you get a more smooth transition, but just like any AR-15 that you buy is probably going to be similar to that. And what the trigger does, it's very interesting. The trigger kind of works more like a bullpup style trigger. So what that means is that the pistol is further up, because as you can tell when I point the gun like this, you can see that this is where the magazine goes into. So your grip is here and the magazine goes into here, which means that the trigger is right around there. So if this trigger is over here and that trigger is over there, you'll see that there's a connecting bar that goes in place that then acts as the secondary trigger. Now it does make the trigger a little bit different, and it's just something to be able to be aware of, but that's really the functionality of it and how you're able to get a system like this to make it work. Now, something that I'd want to mention is that I tried a few different configurations of pistols to put into this platform, and it does work with a very large variety. However, it works with a large variety of stock pistols. So, for example, one of my pistols has a flared magwell. Then that was something that was able to fit, but it was quite a tight fit. If you have a slide that has an RMR, it's not going to work because it doesn't have that height, as well as also, even if you have a milled optics plate, but it's not the MOS plate, then usually some of the aftermarket slide cuts that they do, the plate will be slightly wider than the size of a standard MOS plate. Now, the problem is not about it reciprocating inside the chassis. It's more about the fact that they offer a charging handle that's going to go along the side of right over here. And what that does is that allows you to be able to actually rack it and use it like similar to like a side charging AR. If you have a plate that's a little too large, then the adapter pieces that slide in place are very snug fit, so you really do feel secure when it actually has it on. However, if that plate's there or if it's not able to sit correctly, then it's going to be a little bit wobbly, and that's just something to be able to be aware of. Now, something that I noticed that I've been told is that some people had issues with accuracy in this system. Now, from my understanding, they did make a newer version of this, so that should initially be less of an issue. But what I noticed might have been the problem, besides for the fact that it might have been wiggly, which I don't really think that is, because if you remember when I made the video on the 2020, this optic is able to wiggle like that. Now, we were shooting at 100 yards with this thing without any issue, and the only time we missed was when there was a bad trigger pull on our end. But it wasn't to do anything to do with the optic, because generally speaking, you're not going to be shooting that distance with this anyway. That's not really what the point of this is. It just gives you more stability within close quarters. But that wiggle is not going to be enough to make any issues because, again, clearly with a 75%, I believe, IPSC target, we were able to engage it multiple times without any issue. So I don't believe that that's what the problem is with this one. What I did notice could be an issue is the fact that standard optic mounts that I tried out were not able to seat onto the actual rail correctly. So what I ultimately did was, I'm going to do close-ups on this. I had to sand down a little bit of the upper to be able to make sure that the rail height was a little bit smaller. And once the rail height was a little bit shorter, it was able to then clamp down and get a proper connection with the bottom of the rail and then hold into place. Now, when I was able to, once I finally did that, I could see that I was able to see properly. And then at that point, I didn't have any issues at all. But that's just something, again, to be aware of, is that if you're having those issues, you could either reach out to them to ask what you could do about it, or if you just didn't want to go through that process, it's all polymer, so you're easily able to sand it and deal with that, and it should not be that big of a deal. On the left and right side, so this does work to be ambidextrous, there are these kind of like escalator cuts, I believe they're called, that you're able to just put your thumb on and it gives you a lot more control, as well as also having accessories like a vertical grip or areas that you're able to store additional magazines. And then again, as I mentioned on the back, being able to choose between any type of stock that you want or folding brace that you want is offered because of the AR-15 kind of design that goes into this. Going back to the left side of the gun, there's going to be an area here where the magazine is going to catch with the magazine of your actual firearm. So pushing that is going to be what releases the magazine. And then you could reinsert either from the reload that you have over there or from just doing it from your mag pouch or whatever, and then racking it off the side is going to be what gets it back into action. So overall, it's a very cool system that's much more like, I guess, duty use, like more serious use for a Glock. So if you really want to turn your Glock into more of a rifle than of a pistol, then this might be the route you want to go. If you want to check out this video that I made on this guy, this is more of like a minimalist style, more covert style. You could really make this a really cool setup for just like everyday carry use. So like a lot of guys carry guns in their backpacks. So this can give you a little bit more stability for longer engagements while still being able to use the Glock that you know and love. The chassis is not expensive, so being able to put it into a chassis and then get more distance and have a reliable PCC because it is a Glock ultimately, I think is very cool. So this could be something you could check out. And again, if you're looking for something more serious use, more intense, then this might be the route you want to check, which would be the PICs, and that will give you a little bit more options in regards to modularity and choices of how you wanted to configure it based on your purpose of use. If you have any questions on this, if you'd like to see more with this setup, please feel free to leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to answer that as soon as I can. This is Raziel Cohen with ndftraining.com. Thank you for watching.